Hey guys, it's Sec with Mars here. This is my first ever video, and for today's video I decided to make a little Python project. This is a small password generator that I built in Python. I built this program with only 60 lines of code. As you can see here, the password manager gives you three options to choose from: either to add a password, retrieve a password, or exit the program entirely. If you choose to add a password, then first it's going to ask you for a service name where your password will be stored. And later, when you retrieve that password, you have to provide that service name first to get the password. This project uses only Python's built-in modules, meaning there are no external libraries needed. In this video, I'll walk you through how it works step by step so you can build it yourself in just a few minutes. So then without further ado, let's jump right into the code. At first, I got an error because I tried using an external library, but later I realized I didn't need it and switched back to a built-in module. I'm using built-in modules: JSON to save passwords, OS to check files, secrets to generate secure passwords, and strings for letters, numbers, and symbols. I store all passwords in a file called passwords.json. This function is called load passwords. Its job is to get all the passwords we've saved so far. First, it checks if the password file exists. If it doesn't, the program starts fresh with no saved passwords. But if the file is there, it opens it and reads all the saved information. We use something called JSON to store the passwords in a format Python can understand. After reading the file, it gives all the passwords back to the program so we can use them whenever we need to add or retrieve a password. This function is called save passwords, and its job is to store all the passwords we've collected so far into a file on a computer. The program takes the passwords, which are stored in something called a dictionary. Think of it like a notebook where each service name has its password written next to it. Then it opens a file called passwords.json and writes all the information into it. The add password function is what allows the program to store a new password for a service. First, it asks the user to type in the name of a service, like Gmail or Facebook. This is important because we need a way to know which password belongs to which service. Then it asks for the actual password. If the user already has a password they want to use, they can type it in. But if they leave it blank, the program automatically creates a new password for them using the generate password function. This generated password is strong and random, so it's harder for anyone to guess. After that, the program needs to remember all the passwords we've saved before. It does this by opening the file where the passwords are stored and loading everything into memory. Once it has all the existing passwords, it adds the new one to the list, then saves everything back into the file. Finally, it prints a confirmation message so the user knows their password was successfully saved. This function combines a few important ideas: getting input from the user, making decisions if the user doesn't provide information, generating a secure password, and saving data so it can be used later. All of these steps happen automatically when you choose to add a password, making it simple and secure. The retrieve password function is what allows the user to look up a password they saved for a specific service. First, it asks the user to type in the name of the service they want, like Gmail. The program then loads all the saved passwords from the file into memory, so it knows what passwords already exist. Next, it checks if the service the user typed in is in the list of saved passwords. If it finds the service, it shows the password on the screen so the user can copy it or remember it. If the service isn't found, it tells the user service not found, letting them know there's no password saved for that name. Essentially, this function is like opening your notebook, looking under the service name, and either finding the password or seeing a note that says it hasn't been written down yet. The generate password function's job is to create a strong random password automatically. By default, it makes a password that is 16 characters long, but the length can be changed. To make the password, the program combines letters, numbers, and punctuation. Then, for each character in the password, it picks one at random using something called secrets.choice. The secrets module is a special tool in Python that creates truly random values that are safe for passwords. This is much more secure than using random, which is easier to guess. So, every time you run this function, you get a new and unpredictable password that's strong enough to use safely online. Finally, the last function we have is the menu function. which is like the control center of the program. It shows a simple text interface that the user can interact with. Every time it runs, it prints out a list of options. In this case, it would be add password, retrieve password, and exit. The function is wrapped in a loop, which means it keeps showing these options over and over again until the user decides to quit by selecting exit. When the user types a choice, the program checks what they entered. If they type 1, it runs the function to add a new password. If they type 2, it runs the function to retrieve an existing password. And if they type 3, the program stops and exits the loop. If the user types something that isn't a valid option, the program doesn't crash. Instead, it prints a message saying that the choice is invalid and shows the menu again. This way, the user always knows what to do next, and the program is easy to use. This line, if name equals main, makes sure the menu only runs when we start the program directly. Think of it like a start button. It launches the menu so we can add or retrieve passwords. Now that the menu is ready to go, the next step is to test the code and see how it works in action. I realized I made an error on line 39 by ending the join method call too early. I have to open up that parenthesis and put the backslash parenthesis at the end of the code. Alright, let's test our password manager. Here's the menu that appears when we run it. I'm going to add a new password for a service and leave a blank so it auto-generates. Now I'm going to retrieve that password that we just added. As you see, it prints out exactly what we saved. Now I'm going to try this one more time, but this time I'm going to add a new service name and write my own password. When I write this password, it will be saved to that service name that I just created. Now when I select option 2 to retrieve my password, that same one we just created is the one that's going to be shown. So these are the steps to making this simple Python password manager. Go ahead and try it out and let me know what other videos I should make. As always, thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.